Advertising is all around us. Flowers blossom with vibrant colors to attract pollinating bees. Peacocks dance with their iridescent feathers to attract mates. Rattlesnakes make a rattling noise with their tails to ward off any unsuspecting predators. And teenagers post pictures and videos on social media for a variety of reasons. The one thing in common with all of these is that they are all advertisements. When the most important things in life are invisible and unknown, advertising uses the visible to grasp at it. In the case of animals, they advertise their health, genes, virility, strength, and even the danger they pose should they be encountered. Advertising helps creatures, including man, understand the world around them. Today, we live in a society where we are dependent on each other to provide us with the goods and services that we require. In such a society, business, which provides us with these amenities, lies at the centerfold. When you are standing in front of 20 linear feet of detergent in a store that has 25,000 different products, you will want to know which one will clean your clothes the best. When a customer is thus provided with an abundance of choices, they will go with the product that they are most familiar with. Moreover, it is not just enough that the customer merely notices your product, but they should also have a positive image of the brand in their mind. Business goes where business is invited, and this is where advertising comes into play. We all know that all the major brands that we use today invest heavily into advertising. That is probably why we are using them in the first place. In fact, American Consumer Goods Corporation P&G, which was the largest advertiser in 2018, invested $10 billion into advertising for that year. Their product range, which includes the likes of Vicks, Ariel, Gillette, Ambipure, Pampers, Pantene, Oral-B, Head & Shoulders, Herbal Essences, and Old Spice, are all very recognizable and household names thanks to this. Other large advertisers include the South Korean electronics firm Samsung, French L'Oreal, and the Dutch-British Unilever, which stand at second, third, and fourth places respectively. It should be no surprise then that the global advertising revenue stood at $649 billion in 2021, having risen since the beginning of the pandemic. So why is advertising so important? To answer that, we will need to look at advertising through a few different perspectives, that of manufacturers, middlemen, sales force, consumers, and the society as a whole. Manufacturers enjoy very obvious benefits because of advertising. Firstly, advertising helps improve sales. Even the best product cannot be sold on its own unless people know about the product. Advertising helps in this regard by generating awareness of the product, imparting knowledge of the product to the customers, causing a change in customer attitude, and even causing a trial purchase of the product. Advertising effects differ in different market situations. For a less expensive, frequently purchased product, the use of repeated advertising may cause a trial purchase of the product. In case the trial purchase experience is satisfactory, it may result in the repeated purchases of the product. For routine or habitual purchases like biscuits, for example, the mere exposure to an advertisement is likely to trigger a direct purchase action. On the other hand, for the purchase of products like automobiles, the use of advertising is used primarily to generate awareness and impart knowledge about the product to the customers. Since such a decision-making process, like buying a car, requires more of the buyer's deliberations, it is less likely that advertising alone causes a change in attitude. The use of repetitive advertising provides reassurance, like in the case of Surf Excel ads, and helps in reinforcing the product choice. A company's success is reflected by how it maintains its current position and future expansion into new markets. Advertising helps companies face competition more easily in this regard. Advertising has been described as salesmanship in print. That is why most of the retail organizations do not employ a large number of traveling salesmen. Instead, they invest into advertising, which attracts customers to their shops, where the counter salesman can cater to their every need. Also, it must be noted that every retailer holds stocks of many different products. Advertising, by making the range of products known to the customer, helps the retailer to quickly sell the stock. The ultimate aim of all marketing efforts is to satisfy the needs of the consumer by providing goods and services. Every producer claims their product to be the best one, and in such a case, advertising helps the consumers to make informed decisions by comparing the features, price, utility, quality, etc. of the product. Advertising in this regard increases competition in the marketplace and helps the consumers to get the best product at reasonable prices and also to get rid of subpar brands. It may also surprise many that advertising is beneficial to society. For one thing, advertising uplifts the society's standard of living as it has made possible for the general public to use those products which were luxuries of yesterday like cars and computers. Look at this in simpler terms. Advertising increases the consumption pattern, which results in higher production at least cost. This in turn increases the public's earnings and thereby the standard of living of the society. It is also important to note that advertising generates employment opportunities both directly and indirectly. The advertising industry generates employment directly in the case of artists, painters, copywriters, technicians, etc. The advertising industry also employs those industries like color, paper, electronics, etc., which supply inputs for the advertising activities. Now, advertising is a component of marketing. As a marketing activity, advertising holds a lot of importance in the brand building exercise. Product is at the very heart of an advertising program. An effective advertising program requires knowledge of the products and a clear notion about its positioning. Trademark, packaging, and various other attributes such as its taste, style, texture, aroma, design, etc. are all essential elements of effective advertising. The potential of these attributes in affecting a product sale is analyzed before incorporating them into the advertising message. In certain cases, the advertising carries a price tag which helps in the comparison between various brands. In case it doesn't, the media choice, the message, and the advertising campaign execution all convey a certain notion of product price to the consumer. In the general sense, there is a positive relationship between the level of advertising and the product price. Brands that have a large advertising budgets are seen as charging premium prices as compared to those brands which have relatively low advertising budgets which charge lesser prices. A major factor that influences advertising decisions is the product's distribution objectives and strategies. Product distribution can be intensive, selective, or exclusive. Advertising through mass communication modes like TV facilitates an intensive distribution of products. For selective or exclusive distribution strategies adopted for the product, advertising is mainly used to provide information about the product's availability in certain locations or outlets. The advertising industry has grown substantially over the years in India. The booming stock market, new product categories, and exploding real estate and entertainment industry have all opened up new markets for the advertisers. Along with the telecom and auto sectors, the Indian advertising industry is driven mainly by new product categories like mutual funds, IPOs, aviation, and an increased ad spend in India's smaller towns and villages. Advertising and product demand go hand in hand. Advertising will induce consumers to consider your product when the demand arises. At the same time, the consumers may pivot and consider your competitor's product should they execute a better advertising campaign. In that sense, advertising will reduce the price elasticity of demand for a product, which is a measure of the quantity purchased of a product in relation to its change in price. At the same time, advertising is a cost-reducing exercise for the producers as well as the consumers because the demand generated by advertising will enable production at large scale. It is also interesting to note that advertising is a catalyst for change in people's lifestyles. Advertising mirrors the latest design and fashion. The exposure to new and improved products, new consumption situations, new activities, and new values encourages an aesthetic sense and enthusiasm among the consumers. Some of the products, through their repeated exposure at times, become a matter of lifestyle statement for its consumers. The growth of media, whether it is print or broadcast, undoubtedly is based on its content. To sustain this growth, media houses always attempt to improve their TRPs, short for target rating points, which shows the media preference among the audience. The higher their TRPs, the better advertising deals they will get. As advertising is such an important revenue source for the media, they have an incentive to create great content and enthrall the audience with their shows and movies. At the same time, we cannot ignore the fact that advertising is often construed as being manipulative and an industry full of snake oil salesmen. For example, advertising has often been blamed for the increased popularity of socially questionable activities like cigarette smoking. India, however, has held a strong stance on the ban of advertising tobacco and liquor products since 1995. The ban was enforced after extensive research by the Indian Ministry of Health found that alcohol and tobacco have adverse effects on a person's health. Although alcohol brands are banned from advertising in India, the companies seem to have found a way to circumvent these laws and advertise their brands in the form of sodas and music CDs, among other things. The evidence demonstrating the manipulative power of advertising is shaky because so many factors contribute to the choices we make. Advertising can often be found in conflict with certain standards of morality because advertisers often slant or omit information for their benefit. But then again, so do politicians and even our friends when they want something from us. So you can be the judge if advertising is morally acceptable or not. Well, all said and done, advertising is here to stay, and it is only going to continue to grow and evolve as the years pass. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and go to media.com for all your marketing and advertising requirements.